doing this Heaven Meets Earth series, and we're hop, skip, and jumping through a little bit of Genesis at this point, and we're going to take some big skips here in the coming days. And the idea is this: like when God created in the beginning, God was doing something amazing because God created these heavens and the earth. God created a place where God dwells and a place where people dwell. And when you read through the Genesis account, like these two things seem to be overlapping. Because God is near to his creation. God makes the sun, moon, stars. He makes the earth. He makes the water. He makes all the animals. He makes the plants. He makes this special creation called humanity. Dirt boy and riblet. Like they're the creation that God says, like, I'm going to make these things in my image. I'm going to make these things to represent me in this world. And I'm going to bless them and tell them to be fruitful. And I'm going to walk among them. And I'm going to know them. And so this earthly place where this special creation dwells and this heavenly place where God dwells, like they're kind of overlapping. There's something about the presence of God and the will of God that's happening in the same place, and God sets up one simple thing to this whole thing is care for creation and don't eat that tree. Like that's the only thing that, not the tree, the fruit of the tree. That's the only thing that God wants for them. He wants this to continue on. It does not appear that God has a plan that he wants to fail. Like God's intent is that heaven and earth, where God exists and where his creation are somehow, some way, there's some level of interaction. And these humans, we don't know how quickly, find a place where they're tempted by this tree. And the tree is the fruit of it is the knowledge of good and evil. And they look to it and they kind of go, well, what if we ate of that tree? What would happen with us? Would we die? Really? Or would we become like God? What do we want? Do we want to continue to trust and obey and follow and be in God's presence and allow his will to be done? Is this what we want? Or what do we really want is to be God? To be like God. We're already, just, the irony of this. What was humanity's whole point? Going to bear the image of God in the world. They're already God's image bearers, but that was not enough. They wanted to be. I want to be God. So we're going to look today at two passages. One is in Genesis chapter 11, and the other is in chapter 12. And like as I'm reading these things, and I swear I'm not reading stuff into this stuff. Like there are patterns that exist here at the beginning of the Old Testament, that there are rhythms and patterns that you see, and when you start looking for them, you're like, oh, that's there, that's in the story. And so what we see is in chapter 11. Well, I can't talk about it before I read it. So Genesis chapter 11, we're going to read verses 1 through 9. I'm just so excited. It was Grantley's fault. He was whipping everything up, and I'm starting out hot, and I got to cool down. All right, so Genesis chapter 11, listen to what it says. Verses 1 through 9. I need the old man glasses, I'm sorry. As soon as I looked down, I went, oh, that's blurry. I don't think it's the lighting either. Now the whole world had one language and common speech. Okay, wait, I just need to say this. So some time has passed. Adam and Eve have been banished out of the garden, and God does not want to let them eat from the fruit of the tree of life, and they've made their choice, and God says, okay, then you get to go over there, and I'm going to stay over here, and heaven and earth kind of have this moment of separation. And so time goes on. Like the world is populated, and Noah happens, and we're not going to do that story, but Noah happens, and there's a flood, and then Noah's family kind of repopulates the earth again. So that's where we find ourselves right now. Now, the whole world had one language, because they all came from the same family, so it makes sense. They had one language and common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar, and they settled there. And then they said to each other, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They used brick instead of stone and tar for the mortar. And then they said, come, Let us build for ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we might make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered all over the face of the whole earth. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower and the people that the people were building. And the Lord said, "It's as if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then there's nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. This is why it's called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them all over the face of the earth. This is the word of the Lord. So humanity gathers, and they start moving eastward, from even more eastward than they already were. And as they're doing this, like there's this unity in language, and they're all together, and they decide something, right? Like all of this language is apart from God until God steps into the story. They decide something. They say, we, united in who we are, common language, strength in numbers, we should do something. And let's do something together. We should create. We should create something. And you know what we should do is we are creative in who we are. And so we're going to refine a new process for how to make bricks and how to use mortar and all this kind of stuff. And we're going to use the latest technologies available to us that we're creating as we go. We are going to create and invent and build a tower, a ziggurat. That's what they would have been building at this time, which looks, anyone know what a ziggurat looks like? It looks a lot like a pyramid, except for its steps, giant steps. It kind of goes in levels like this, right? So we're going to make us a tower. We are going to create a tower, and this is not just going to be any tower. No. This is going to be a tower that will reach to the heavens. A bunch of humans with some things in common are going to create. And they are going to create new processes, and they are going to build a tower. What's the first thing they decide to build? Some practical housing, an apartment complex where everybody can live, or, a 7-Eleven so that Slurpees are available to everybody as they're working. No. What are we going to build? What are we going to create? We're going to create a tower that goes to heaven. These were the people, the word Babel gets used, and so these were indicators of the early Babylonians. And the Babylonians, literally the word Babylonian means gate of the god, not capital G, lowercase g. So these are a people that view themselves as creators, who view themselves as creators of things that go to heaven, that literally approach the gate of the God. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing it? Because it's the most practical thing for them to do? Or because it will make them great? We will become great under our power to create. Under our power to create and rise to the heavens. And that it doesn't say this, but do you hear the words, "and be like God" at the end of that sentence? Right? Under our unity, under our might and creativity, we are going to create like God creates. And as we do so, we are going to build things that go to heaven, the gates of heaven, and we will be great and mighty in this world. This is what happens when a bunch of humans get together and they are unified. And they are unified around their own desire to be great, and their own desire to lift their name, and their own desire to use all of the creative power that God has given to them to build something for themselves that will elevate themselves over above everything else. This is what it looks like when a bunch of humans get together and want to do something to make themselves wonderful and great and memorable in this world. And God sees it and goes, oh no, we're only on chapter 11. We've got this much more to go. Right? We've already hit this point. And so God intercedes. God intercedes, it says, in this story, like somehow the confusion of language, and it doesn't even say, it doesn't explain, it doesn't anything. It just says that somehow that God intercedes and creates some language chaos. That somehow there's this thing that happens where language gets divided and they're no longer unified in the same way, and they scatter themselves because they no longer find that same kind of unity. And the project, maybe it continues on, but not in the same way. This project does not succeed, and instead the people are scattered. Do you hear the echoes, though, of creation? Like, I'm not making this up. Like, we're going to build something. We're going to create it. We're going to make it go to heaven. And then we are going to be great, mighty, and known. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Do you ever see that kind of happen in this world? Anyone? This is echo? I don't know. No comment. Genesis chapter 12. We see another story. Now, this story is after some time, a decent amount of time passes. Because at the beginning, or at the end of 11, we see what happens to Shem's family. It's like a lineage thing, and it just kind of goes through generation to generation to generation. And we land on this guy, Abram. And a lot of Genesis from this point forward happens with Abram and his family. We're going to read verses 1 through, I think it's 5. Yeah, that looks right. Listen to what it says. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, from your people, from your father's household, to the land that I will show you." And then it gets into some poetic, prophetic language. "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the people on the earth will be blessed through you." So Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and all the possessions that they accumulated and the people that they acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan. And they arrived there. So God, again, steps into the story. And this time, he talks to this guy, Abram. And he says to Abram, "You should go. I want you to go." And the go here is huge. Because this is a go, and there's a list of specific things that he says after it. I want you to leave your family. I want you to leave, all of the family that is accumulated around you, this safety net. I mean, because in this time, in this place, you didn't branch out on your own, right? Like, they are building communities. This is early, days, and so there's safety in numbers. There's efficiency in that. There's unity in that, and so generation after generation after generation would live in the same place. They didn't necessarily just kind of scatter on their own. They were caring for each other. They were building a society and towns and villages and cities and this type of thing. And so to leave the safety net, the protection, the comfort of a family. And all that came with that, it wasn't like us when we move now, right? Where you've got phone lines, or you can wire somebody money if they get desperate. Wire somebody? You can Venmo. Boy, what did I just jump back 40 years? You can send them a telegram. You can Venmo them some money. Sorry. You can help some, this was, no. This was, I'm leaving, bye-bye. We will never see each other again. I won't be at your funeral. I won't see your children. I won't be a functional part of this community ever again. I am leaving. He says, Abram, I want you to leave your family and your people and your country, all of these things that you're very comfortable in, that you are very well known, and you know the lands, you know the lay of the land, you know where things are, you know all these things, and you know the people, and there's a lot there. Abram, I want you to go. I want you to go and leave this place. And I will, God says, I'm going to do some things. You go, and I will. There's a bunch of promises here. I will make you. I will create out of you a great nation. Step one. Abram, you go, and I will create. Right? The maker of the heavens and the earth. Different. This is different. There's something different already in what's happening. I will make you into a great people. You're leaving behind an entire culture, an entire people, an entire land, and whatever has been created. He says, Abram, you leave that, and I will make you into something like that. I will make it. Right? And then he says, I will bless you. So not only is he making something out of Abram, but God's blessing appears again. Now, if you think back to creation, right? Whenever God made something, he blessed it. He said it's good, and then he said be fruitful and multiply and be blessed, right? So God's blessing now appears again in the story. Like in the story of Babel, right? It wasn't that people said, oh, us together, beat our chest. We're going to build something great, make a name for ourselves. And then it doesn't say that God blessed it. It said that God goes, oh no, that's not what we're... But in this case, he says, if you go, I will make you a great nation and I will bless you. God's blessing will be on you. There's something about this initiative that it's coming from God, and so because it's coming from God, there's a blessing from God on it. And then he says, I will make your name great. The last chapter, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make a great name for themselves. We're going to be an amazing town, amazing village, amazing city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, and we will make ourselves great. This is a totally different way. God says, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. And then I will make your name, Abram, soon to be Abraham. That's the name I'll make great, not Abram. Everyone will forget that it's Abram. I will make your name great. Abram's not necessarily looking for greatness. He's looking for survival. He's looking to be a dad and a husband and a son and part of his community. But God says, I want to make you a great nation. I want to bless you. And I actually want to make your name great. I want you to be remembered, Abram. And when this happens, you will be a blessing. So we've got Abram, go, and I will create a great nation. And I will bless you. And I will make your name pretty great. And then I will bless everyone through you. Do you notice the difference here? When people try and make themselves great, right? When your motivation is, hey, why don't we do something cool together? Let's build something big. Let's make ourselves into like God. Let's make ourselves into this amazing kind of people that will be unforgettable. We'll make a great name for ourselves. We'll reach to the heavens. Sounds pretty good. Let's do this. We'll do it together. We'll do it without God. These are the plans of men, minus God. And they echo the creation story, but they do not bring about what the creation story was looking for. Instead, we see God step into the story and say, if you will go, then I will build a great nation out of you. You get to be part of it still. But God's going to build it. And God's going to bless you. And God's going to make your name great just because you were willing to go. And that's not your motivation, Abram, but that's what's going to happen. And then through you and because of you, people will be blessed by God. So this doesn't lead to just a man saying, I'm a great nation and I'm a great guy. It leads to the world being blessed through his willingness to go. And there was a willingness to go. Like Abram, this whole thing begins with, you got to leave all that. You got to believe my word enough, Abram, to leave your comfort and your safety and your family and your known lands and your fortune and your inheritance and your this and your that. You've got to believe me enough, Abram, to walk away from all of it. That's a big, big request by God. Like we can't, I mean, I know we can just read it because it's a very quick sentence. But can you imagine the conversation between Abram and Sarah? So, you know how we live here? And our very survival depends on us living here? Because these are the only people that will ever think to take care of us. How about we leave? Sarah's like, have you lost your mind? No. No. They had to believe enough to take action. And that action is not small and it's not trivial. It is a life-changing move. And because he's willing to do that, it's not because Abraham's a great guy. Because keep reading. If you want some reading, I know there's a Seahawks game today, so you're not going to read anything today. I'm not even going to pretend. Tomorrow, win or lose, by the way. I didn't say. I just said. I mean, after they win, I'm just saying even if you're depressed. Read the rest of Abram's story. Abram is not perfect. He's not. He lies. He uses his wife as like a negotiating piece to try and get himself out of trouble. He gets other people in trouble because of his lying and manipulation. And he doesn't just do it once, he does it twice. Abram is not like perfect. I'm going to switch to Abraham because it's just easier for me to remember. Abraham is not a perfect dude. He does not go from this point and just kind of float through the air and his feet never touch the ground and God blesses him in such a way that he just kind of through the rest of his life. That's not what happens. He is a flawed man. He makes mistakes. He falls down on his face and over and over and over again. But God said, if you're willing to believe the things that I promise, and you're willing to put everything on the line, I'm with you. I'm with you through the rough stuff. I'm not going to give up on you when you fail. And I will make you a great nation. God will do it. And God will bless him. And God will make his name great. Read Hebrews chapter 11. His faith is spoken about in lofty, lofty ways as people remembering him as the founder of Israel and taking the first steps of faith. They kind of gloss over all the hard stuff that he did. His name is great, and all of these people are blessed through it. Now, when we read New Testament and we see lineage and we see Israel and we know Jesus, we go, yeah, because of that. Yeah, because of that. And all the rest too. like that, everything that happens before that. So it's not even just the Jesus, it's everything. God blesses this people that are willing to follow. God blesses the whole world. Through that lineage, the God becomes man. And Jesus comes to rescue the world as Messiah through the power of forgiveness and victory over sin and death, because there's an empty tomb. All the world and all of creation is blessed through Abraham being willing to go. being willing to believe enough to go. God creates. God blesses. Again and again and again. We've got two stories here, and they both have echoes of Genesis chapter 1 and 2 and 3. Do we want to be a people who build our own tower to heaven and want to be God? Is that the point of all of this? To make make myself great? Us make ourselves a name known? Or are we called to be more like Abraham? Where God says to us, if you would just believe enough to leave whatever I'm asking, whether it's the comforts of home, or it's the addiction that you're hung up on, or it's your pride that says, I don't need that, or it's your, whatever it is, I don't know, I could keep listing random things if you want. But whatever the thing is that keeps you from following, like, are you willing to leave that thing behind so that you might know what it means to be part of this kingdom that he's building, so that you know what it's like to be blessed by God, so that in some way others might be blessed through what God is doing in you, so that it happens through you to them. We get to choose, right? No matter what's going on around us, in our homes, in our workplaces, in our city, in our state, in our country, blah, 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 all the rest, right? We get to choose which narrative we want to lean into. Do we want to build a ziggurat to the heavens? Or do we want to trust God? Do you trust God? It's sometimes hard to actually trust and believe. Because a lot of times we say, oh, of course I trust God. Of course I do. I believe all of this. Yes, I trust him, all of it. And then God says, okay, then go. And you go, well, no, God, you don't know. You don't understand what you're asking me to do. And God's like, no, I do. Do you believe or no? Do you trust me or no? Right? It's the same story with Adam and Eve. Did they trust him that they didn't need the knowledge of good and evil and that they were good enough? They didn't. They didn't believe him. And they needed to find out for themselves. I'll find out what good and evil is. And I'll find out what guilt and shame is. And I'll find out what distance from God is. But they didn't just believe. Do you actually believe this stuff? Do you actually trust Jesus? If he said to you today, go from whatever the thing is. Go to wherever the place is. Go. Would you do it? Like, honestly. If God promised you, I will bless you. I'll even make your name great if you value that. I will bless others through you. And we'll do some amazing things that you can't even imagine right now. Would you be willing to follow him? The cool thing is, just so you know, it's not often that God says, yeah, I want you to pack up your house and move away from your country, and your people and your everything. Sometimes it's in such smaller things. And those maybe are the harder things. Because the big moves, they're big moves. And you actually get a little shine from doing that, right? Like, look what I'm doing. But are you willing to trust God with the small stuff? With what you'll do with the week this week? With how you'll spend your money? Am I allowed to say that out loud? Do we talk about money at this church? Do you trust God with your finances? Like, for real? Like, do you ever think about God when you're paying bills? Do you consider what it is that you do with your money in any way, shape, or form? Have you ever considered that what you have financially might be a blessing to someone else or something else? I don't know. Do you trust God with your relationships? Or do you try and work it for all you've got? I will fix this broken relationship. I will fix this person. I will fix that person at work. Do you pray? Do you lift them up to God? Do you trust God with those difficult relationships, with the broken relationships? Are you willing to obey the way that God instructs us to behave with each other? Do you trust God with the small stuff? Because sometimes the big stuff, it's hard, but it's big, and those don't happen all that often. And so are you willing to trust God with even the small things? And when he says, no, I will bless you in the midst of that small thing, you can trust me. You can believe that when you honor God in the small thing, God says, you believe in the small thing, and I will use that to bless others. Do you believe that? Because God says to Abram, go, make a great nation. I will bless you. I will bless your name. I will bless others through you. I will make your name great, and I will bless others through you. Do we think that God still does that now? See, it was the foundation to creation when heaven met earth. And if we want to walk in a relationship with God where there's a little bit of heaven bubble around us, the presence of God and his will being done, then it starts there. It starts there. Will you go? Will you trust? Will you believe so that God might bless? And then God might bless. Because ultimately, it's what changes everything. God blessing those that are willing to follow. And when that happens, when you're willing to lay whatever it is down, he will be with you, present. His will be done in and around you. His blessing will be on you. And you'll know a little of heaven on earth, here and now. Not just someday when, but here and now. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we were created for? Literally? May it be so. May you be brave enough to go. May you believe enough to trust his word of blessing. May you not try and wrestle and control, but instead let go and allow him to create. Would you pray with me? God, thank you so much for the faith of Abraham and the example it is to us. Thank you, this sounds silly, but thank you that he was not a perfect man, because we are not perfect either. But he shows us that even the most flawed among us can say yes. Even the most flawed among us can be blessed by you. Even the most flawed among us can be a blessing to this world through the power and the work of your salvation in our lives. So, Lord, help us to go and follow after you. It's in Christ's name I ask and pray it. Amen. Stand with me, please.